Now, John, we've covered 3 of the 5 levels of leadership. So if you're just joining us now, either get a few of the past issues of Success Magazine or go out and buy John's book. I recommend doing both. So this month, we come to level 4, one of my personal favorites. John, tell us what level 4 is and why it's crucial in the development of true leaders.
Well, in my teaching, whether I'm writing books or I'm speaking, my goal is always to get people to level 4. I know the book is the 5 levels of leadership, but I don't worry about level 5, and we'll understand that later. I want to get them to level 4, because if I can get them there and I can get them to stay there and live their life there, it's going to be a major success for them. The level 4 is the people development level, and the key word is reproduction. Now you are developing people and you are reproducing yourself in the lives of others who are reproducing themselves in the lives of others, and you're getting an obvious compounding effect. What are you compounding? Well, you're compounding your time, you're compounding your energy, you're compounding your influence, you're compounding your money. Everything compounds when you go from level 3 to level 4. So, at level 3, when you can produce, you have a certain amount of success. Of course you do. So let's just say, number-wise, you're producing 100, whatever 100 is. If you can do level 4, you can go from 100 to 100,000. Now, if you stay at level 3 and say, okay, I'm just going to work harder and give a little bit more effort and give a little more energy and get up a little earlier and stay up out, you can go from maybe 100 to 130. Okay, let's stretch it. You can go to 150. But there's no potential there. The capacity, there's a lid on it. So, if you stay at level 3 and just work hard, you can go from maybe 100 to 150. But all you got to do is develop people. You can go from 100 to 100,000. The compounding begins at level 4, and it's not on any other level except 4.
Okay, so John, you mentioned in your book that this particular transition from a focus on your own productivity to that of others can be a difficult one. So explain what the difficulties are and how a great leader can step around them.
Well, for me, I just became unsatisfied. I've often thought that one of my greatest friends in growth is discontent. Just the fact I look at myself and think, I'm not satisfied with where I am. This isn't what I want. I want to do more. I want to do better. I want to learn more. And that's what really got me from level 3. I stayed on level 3 for quite a while because you can be successful in level 3. And I enjoyed the fruit of level 3, and I was starting to, I was helping people. I was making decent money. And besides, what's really great about level 3 is that you don't have to fool with anybody, which is kind of a great thing. It's kind of like I just control my hours and do my own thing, and I don't have to hit the ball and drag Charlie, hit the ball and drag Charlie. But after doing that for a few years, I came to the conclusion that the good news is it was kind of a hassle-free, I could just pull this together myself, to the fact that I'm never going to make a difference big time if I don't get to level 4. I'm never going to be able to compound anything. And that dissatisfaction literally said, okay, I've got to learn how to develop people. And Darren, I didn't know how to do that. I did not know how to do it. Again, one of the reasons I wrote the 5 Levels of Leadership book is people always say, develop people, equip people, train people. I got it. How do I do it? So I just said, I've got to not only do it, I got to learn how to do it.
Now, John, I have found personally that people development has a lot to offer in the way of personal fulfillment. And I have to imagine you, of all people, I'm sure have experienced this concept because this is what you do day in and day out. So share some particular moments with us where you were helping someone grow and develop, and it had a profound effect on you.
2 things. In 1995, this is not an event, this is not a story as far as a person or a place, but about 1995, I had just naturally evolved. I had been leading for so long. I naturally evolved, and one day I just realized something. I realized that I was more fulfilled in helping other people being successful than I was in helping myself be successful. And I could only think, I think I only got to that stage because I had for many years helped myself be successful. And one day I kind of got filled up with that. Okay, I now have done well, and I've achieved a lot of goals. And I basically kind of knew what I could do. And the challenge began not in what can I do. I kind of had that all figured out and was already doing it and doing it pretty good. It was kind of like, okay, I wonder what would happen if I poured my life into other people. Wow, that was a wild card because I couldn't control them like I could control myself. I couldn't make them disciplined or make the kind of choices I could. So to me, I kind of got excited about that challenge. Now that was in 1995. So for the last 15, 16 years, obviously, I'm more fulfilled in the success of others than I am myself. So that was a transition. Then, just recently, I just started an organization, a coaching organization. And so I brought together about 1,000 people that were certifying. And the stories I heard over an 8-day period of time, I just every day would weep. I couldn't believe the lives that were changed because I had invested in other people through books and through lectures and through things such as that. And one quick one, I went to the last morning. One of my inner circle staff had found a guy, and I'll call him Bob, that's not his name, who just said, I need just 3 minutes of John's time, because he literally saved my life. And so I met him in the green room before the last day, and Bob said, John, I was in business, and my businesses were not doing well. I think perhaps there was a gambling problem in his life, and pretty much he lost all of his assets and lost his businesses, lost his marriage. And he was going to the attic with a rope, and he was going to hang himself. And somebody had given him a CD of mine. I think it was the Failing Forward one. And he decided to listen to it, so he listened to it and immediately had a transformation inwardly. All of a sudden he said, look, this is, have I failed? Sure. Have I just screwed up bad? Of course. But he got hope. And instead of going to the attic and hanging himself, he kind of just re-entered, took a deep breath, went back in, cleared up his financial mess, went after his marriage. Literally, after 3 years, I think, got his wife back, got a great marriage today, has 5 businesses, doing very, very successful. And he sat there across the table from me in the green room, and these tears are flowing. He's just talking about, the CD changed my life. And I thought to myself, I was born for this. If I die now, I die happy. And I think even to transfer that over to you, Darren, and success and what you do with your work and your magazine and everything, I think that story could be told hundreds and hundreds and if not thousands of times. And I know why you do what you do, and I know why I do what I do. The return of fulfillment and satisfaction in helping others and developing others and seeing them do things that perhaps they would have never been able to do if you didn't enter their life, I do not think there is anything more rewarding than that.
Yeah, for sure. You talk about hope. One of the things that you say that I really like is that leaders are hope dealers, dealers of hope. So at this level, you say that high levels of maturity and skills are required. So define maturity in this context for us and explain the importance of it for a leader who's wanting to master level 4 and begin to start to move into level 5 leader.
Well, this is the maturity level, and I define maturity very simple. Maturity has the ability to see things from other people's perspective. You show me an immature person, they all have the same characteristic. It's all about them. And well, what's going to happen to me? And well, how does that leave me? And do you know how I feel about that? And mature people get beyond themselves, and they are able to think beyond themselves. They're able to think bigger than themselves. They're able to think better than themselves, and they understand others first. I love my little grandchildren, and when Hannah and Maddie were 5, they'd get together at my house, and they'd come down every morning, Darren, with a list of things they wanted me to do for them. They thought God signed Papa, that's what they called me, to serve them. And because I didn't get to be with them a lot, I would just take my days and I wouldn't work those days, and I would just spend it with the babies. And we lived on a golf course, and they'd let me they loved to go on a golf course. We'd go on the golf course on the golf cart every day. But it was just all about serving them. And not one time, Darren, did they come down and in the morning and say, Papa, you've done so much for me. What can we do for you today? 5-year-olds, that's not in that's not in their mental reach yet. That's not who they are. And it's okay because they're 5. But you and I both know, it's very sad when you're 25 or 35, and it's still all about you. Mm-hmm. And yet I see that happen all the time. And, I laugh sometimes. I say, people say, well, give them time, they'll mature. I said, not necessarily. I've known a lot of people, they get older and they don't get more mature. I mean, they get older. Maturity doesn't always accompany age. Sometimes age comes alone. And when you get to level 4, you have to be mature. If you're not a mature leader, if you have not got beyond what is in this for me and what am I going to get out of it and who's going to help me get to my goals, if you haven't got beyond that, you will if you go to level 4, you won't stay there long. You'll go back down to 3.
So give us the equation that I really like that you outline in the book, the 80-20 between you and others. Just outline that for us.
Well, it's just very simple that when you begin to prioritize your life and look at the 80-20 principle, and you begin to prioritize what you're doing and who you're doing it with, you put the people that are going to bring, obviously, the greatest return in their life and the greatest growth in life at the top, and you give 80% of the time to your 20% of the people. And what you find, you give 80% of the time to the 20% of your workload that's going to give the greatest return. And I talk about the 3 R's, what's required of me, what gives me the greatest reward, and what gives me the greatest return. And when you get to level 4, you find that almost all return is developing other people and developing the right people, that the return is almost all there. There is very little return that I get today in something that I basically have done without developing someone else.
Let me ask you as a side, John. In this 80-20, is it the 80% of your attention is on helping others and 20% is on your personal production? Did I interpret that correctly?
Correct. What you do is you basically begin to, and level 3 is exactly opposite. Level 3 is 80% of your time is worked on what can I do to make another sale, to produce the bottom line and make it bigger. And in your afterthoughts are others. On level 4, it's totally about developing and pouring yourself into others, and the 20% is as you do that, and what should I be doing besides that?
Excellent. All right, John. So let's be sure that our listeners are doing something with all these great insights. What one activity do you suggest they practice, try, and do this month to work on their people development level of leadership?
Be intentional. The only way you'll ever develop people is to do it on purpose. Because here's what I've discovered, Derek. Anything that I do that is not about me and is not self-serving has to be intentional. Because I am naturally selfish. I am naturally about me. So, be intentional. In 1997, and here's what I did, and you want to exercise or something for people to kind of practice, here's what I did. In 1997, again, when I came to this conclusion, as I shared with you earlier in the story, of that I got more satisfaction from helping others than my own personal success, I developed what I called my top 10 list, 10 people that I was going to serve, and that I was going to serve them unselfishly. I was going to serve them if I ever got a return out of it or not, but that I thought that they were worthy of my time, effort,